it's your girl, and she's back at Angels with Scaly Wings. And as I said in the last episode, here's where the shit starts hitting the fan, and be prepared for a 6-hour monologue. The morning sun declared the arrival of the new day and woke me from my vivid dreams. Memories of my home, enclosed within a towering perimeter wall, raced through my head. The peaceful landscape outside the apartment window stood in defiance of these old thoughts. Rolling hills and blue sky were familiar to me now, and the purity of the sight gave me hope. Who is it?
Molly, please come with me.
What's going on? You sound serious.
The chief will explain everything once we arrive.
Okay. Probably not good.
Hey chief, Molly is here. Thanks, Sebastian. You can deal with the situation here while I talk to Molly, alright? Of course. Molly, I've got some really bad news.
Well, what is it?
You know Anna, right?
I've met her, yes.
How about her assistant?
I've met him once or twice.
Well, that's him.
Fuck me. Oh dear.
Fuck. Are you okay?
I don't know.
Is there anything that I can do?
Let's just get this over with. Bryce gave me a concerned look, but then nodded.
And here's more bad news. The blood we found on the first victim in town matches the DNA evidence we found on the second victim at the power facility. Furthermore, the murder weapon and method appear to be the same across all 3 victims, and that's gonna be a big problem for you.
Why is that?
Because with these 3 murders, Reza now qualifies as a serial killer. We won't be able to keep this whole thing quiet for much longer. Higher authorities, including the ministry in charge of your whole visit, will now know about this soon. I have no idea what will happen once they do.
I'm not sure what to say to that.
I don't want to worry you, but we can be sure that action will be taken soon. I've been considering this possibility for a while, and think it might be best if you went back to your own world for now. This way, we can take action before the ministry does, and before all this becomes public. If we wait, we don't know what they'll do, or how the public will react. With everything going on, it's too dangerous for you to stay here.
No!
No?
This would be the worst possible time for me to leave. We've given up our PDAs and hardly have anything to show for it. We are owed several more generators, and let's not forget that Reza is still missing. If I leave now, the only thing I return with is my life. I'll have lost everything else. We need those generators, Bryce. I have no idea if your authorities will continue to uphold our deal or what they'll do to Reza, but I'm not leaving until this is over.
If that's your decision, then so be it. Anyway, let's get back on track. I called you here for a reason, Molly. In addition to the murder, several things were stolen. Among them, your PDAs, batteries, and some components used to build generators. Does that ring any bells?
Not really. Reza may have some knowledge of electronics, but I doubt he has enough to assemble one of your generators, even if he had the parts.
Strange. Even so, it's fair to assume Reza's involvement at this point. No one else has greater motives to steal the PDAs, especially after what happened between him and Maverick.
Unless someone wanted to frame Reza in order to sabotage this whole operation.
Do you really believe that?
Hey, I'm just saying it's possible.
I'll shelve that idea under possible, but not likely. Hey, Chief, are we done here? Pretty much. Why do you ask? We just got a message from the higher-ups. You and Molly are to report to the Ministry of Culture and Arts immediately. Immediately? As in, right now? Yeah, apparently.
What's going on?
To be frank, I don't know. This is an extraordinary situation, and now that it's getting out of hand, they must want to address it.
So, the worst possibility.
If you expect the worst, at least you won't be disappointed. Sebastian, you can finish up here and go to the ministry when you're done. We'll probably have to make some arrangements after this meeting. Sure thing, Chief. Let's go then, shall we?
It's not like we have a choice. This is bad, this is bad, this is very, very bad. We are bullet genuinely fucked. That was quicker than I expected. I wouldn't have minded waiting out here a little longer.
Greetings, Minister.
Greetings.
Shall we go inside for our official business?
No, I've got everything I need right here. It gets so stuffy inside on hot days. My assistant doesn't seem to mind much, but I prefer the fresh air. I'd rather just stay right here, unless you have any objections.
I don't.
I see. Well, I know I haven't exactly been up to date in regards to Razor's sudden disappearance, but to get the message today that he is confirmed serial killer was quite shocking. Frankly, I'm curious as to why the facts of this case have been withheld from me for so long.
Simply because they weren't within your jurisdiction. The murders were strictly a police matter. Only with the amount of new evidence, namely the DNA and blood we found and these 3 murders now being linked together to him, did your ministry have to become involved.
I see. So Razor's involvement is now undeniable.
I'm afraid so, Minister.
Facts are nothing to be afraid of, though in light of all this, I'm starting to worry about my personal safety.
With our thick hides, I don't think our species has much to fear if we consider the murder weapon.
Speak for yourself. You don't think someone of my standing needs protection?
Oh, for sure. If you're worried about your personal safety, we could look into an escort for you.
Good. Considering all the murders took place during the night, I'll certainly need it. Long days are endemic in my line of work. But that's enough about myself. We now face the question of what should be done about Razor and Molly.
Minister, we continue our hunt for Razor every day. As a matter of fact, Molly has been helping us do so for a while now.
Is that so? One human a murderer, the other a detective? Interesting. And how do you know Molly isn't following a similar plan to Razor's, whatever that may be?
Similar concerns were leveled by Razor's escort, Maverick. It was his overreaction that caused Razor to run away in the first place.
That's the human talk for once, Chief. Please, Molly, enlighten me. You and Razor came here on the same mission, and the situation is escalated beyond our expectations. What you tell me now will determine the actions I'll take on this matter. Maybe you should start telling me your side of the events from the beginning. Razor was fine during his early days here. Things only went wrong after you arrived. I opened my mouth, but Bryce spoke first, determined to defend me.
Arguably, the problems that caused this all were apparent even then.
How so?
Maverick suspected Razor of planning something, but didn't think he had a case. But I didn't think he had a case.
Well, did he?
No, what he had was a suspicion. The night he followed Razor, he found both him and Molly at the portal. The humans intended to send one of their promised generators through, but there was a confrontation that ended with both Maverick and Molly wounded and Razor running away. Razor's been missing ever since.
I've read the report already, Chief. The question is, did Maverick cause all this, or did he just fail to prevent it?
I have no way of knowing that, Minister.
You just mentioned your apparent knowledge of problems back then.
Problems may not have been the right word. Let's just say Maverick's attitude was not helpful during that encounter.
Why did you choose Maverick as his escort in the first place?
Protection for the human ambassador was my greatest concern when I made that decision, and Maverick was the most capable individual in that regard.
Well, that worked out nicely, didn't it? Stop being a bitch, goddammit. You also seem to think that Maverick shouldn't have remained Razor's escort, is that true?
Yes, had I paid more attention to the warning signs, the situation may have been avoided.
So you accept responsibility for the incident?
Yes, Minister.
I see. Now let's get back to the topic of Molly. Yay, my favourite topic. Razor was your partner in humanity's mission to come to this world. His list of criminal activities not only includes murder, but also theft of generators, electronic components, and the PDAs your people gave to us.
I understand why Bryce would reason that you could help the investigation, but we have no other choice but to be suspicious of Razor's partner. What was your motivation when you agreed to help us?
It's beneficial to my actual mission.
And what would that be?
The deal between our races. I firmly stand by our original agreement. If Razor is involved with these crimes, I want no part of it. Has nothing to do with me or the reasons I came here in the first place. If his actions are endangering this agreement in any way, I want to put a stop to him.
I see. Well, after reading upon the whole situation and hearing both your accounts, I believe that Molly is trustworthy. Nevertheless, I think Molly presents a great risk.
Why is that?
After this meeting, I will hold a press conference to inform the public of the current situation. The people must know of the danger posed by Razor. No matter what Bryce and I think about your involvement, the public could feel different. You, me, and Bryce will have to face the backlash resulting from this information becoming public, and what's more, Molly, you might be in real danger yourself. Razor himself may come back to silence you once he learns that you're helping us, while considering the public uproar from those who would question your involvement. All things considered, it would be the best if you return to your own world until the situation has been resolved.
I came to the very same conclusion, Minister.
Then with your support, this is what shall be done.
Please, don't!
You don't agree?
If you send me back now, this diplomatic relationship is over. I'd have to admit defeat to humanity. There's no way I can return without your pet generators, our PDAs, or Razor.
Maybe you can explain to them what a great choice of ambassador Razor was.
But I was his partner, so in a way, he's my responsibility. I can't just go back like this.
I'm afraid that's not enough. It certainly doesn't outweigh our reasons for sending you home.
Just let me explain. I'll tell you everything. Molly Monologue! Years ago, our world was prosperous. Our technology was far more advanced than yours even. Computers not only graced every household, but every single person. It was the age of information. I feel like I'm not articulate. I feel like I'm not... It's not fluid. I feel like I'm not graceful enough with my, very blunt Australian accent. Even children had the power to access the most advanced knowledge at their fingertips. With our PDAs in interconnectedness with other people and in our environment, it was great. It was greater than ever. From locomotion to repetitious work and household chores, many processes were automated to such a degree that except for our jobs and hobbies, there was nothing that needed to be done by a person anymore. Even the concept of someone wielding a weapon was outdated, as wars weren't fought by people, but machines. Looking back, it was probably the most single prosperous time in human history. Exploitation of the environment and other people was at an all-time low, as was crime. Conversely, our technological advancements had drastically increased quality of life. Humans were no longer required for strenuous and repetitive tasks. Education had reached an all-time high and many new jobs were created. General happiness had reached levels never seen before. Yet one day, everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Solar flare. A solar flare that was headed for Earth was detected by an automated monitoring system. It was determined to be so powerful that it dwarfed all others recorded in history. We had less than a week to prepare. Chaos hit much earlier than that, as people scrambled to shield themselves and their possessions from the incoming ion storm. So, for those of you who aren't familiar, like the ion storm or EMP from solar flares is, like, it could be a genuine concern, but it's even something that doomsday preppers get on top of. People who are like, the world's gonna end, so I gotta protect my family. But, yeah, the radiation given off from the sun, I believe, the radiation, is so powerful enough that it will fuck up electronics. And there have been, like, there are solar flares all the fucking time, but usually they don't have enough energy to actually reach the planet. But, you know, this is the distant future, so shit could be fucked. On a worldwide level, power lines were switched off, satellites reoriented in space, and planes grounded to mitigate the effects that would hit us. Despite humanity's contingency plan for such an event and all our efforts, we were still not prepared for the sheer magnitude of the solar flare that arrived. It was only then, when our race had become so dependent on technology, that we were immeasurably vulnerable against this kind of disaster. That day, a force with a power of 10 billion Hiroshima bombs was unleashed into our atmosphere. Now, I don't know how many megatons on the, were dropped on Hiroshima in World War II, but it was a fucking colossal explosion. And for 10 million of them, that's probably enough to cover the planet a few times over. The eyewitnesses' reports from the day were varied as they were terrifying. Aurora Borealis. A huge, beautiful aurora could be seen on the horizon before fireballs hurled across the sky.
Is that Aurora Borealis? Assembled in your living room? Assembled in your kitchen?
Yes.
Can I see it?
No. It's positively gorgeous. In some places, these lights became so bright that even those asleep at night awoke, as though day had already arrived. The coronal mass ejection by itself did not have the power to kill anyone directly, but the side effects were disastrous. After the lights in the sky arrived, sparks showered from electrical outlets everywhere, igniting rampant fires in every town and city. Facilities that stored weapons, fireworks, or other explosives became centers of widespread destruction and loss of life. During the next stage, the solar flares started to affect body modifications and caused commonplace pacemakers and nanomachines to fail. 15% of the world's population died as a result of this alone. So, another thing, if you're not up to, if you're not familiar with pacemakers, like nanomachines and stuff.
Nanomachines, son.
Nanomachine is just basically, a really tiny fucking machine. Like, nano is a prefix for a unit of measurement in the metric system. You've got, centimeter, millimeter, micrometer, nanometers down there. I don't know what order, but they're just really tiny robot things that are usually... they're good at really doing really complex things, and pacemakers are things that keep your heart working. I think some even have defib units inside them that go off if your heart stops. So, that's fucking deadly. Once the full power of the waves hit us, however, society as we knew it collapsed in one fell swoop. Power grids on Earth shut down in an instant, as did all the machines that automated our routine tasks. Long-distance communication and transport became a thing of the past. Without electrical power, the quality of healthcare plummeted, and water and sewage systems were crippled. Sounds shit. Diseases we thought defeated centuries ago made their comeback in a most unsightly fashion. Black Plague! Many thought the end of the world had arrived, and in a way it had. Some people blamed whoever their belief system would allow, angry at the gods that had forsaken them. I blame Thor. No, I blame Zeus. Zeus did it. Others pointed their fingers at our lifestyle and society. Not that anyone was listening. Practically, we were back in the Middle Ages. Governments collapsed and were overthrown, and the ensuing power vacuums filled with groups of people that were sometimes organized and sometimes not. The few functioning electronic devices left became rare, sought after artifacts, which battles and even wars were fought. I actually kind of like this idea of an apocalypse, in terms of a video game. Because zombies tearing the world apart is kind of meh for me, but, all this other shit is pretty cool. Of course, there were also wars over resources and territory. The weaponry used was improvised or reclaimed from the days when humans had been present on the battlefield. It had been ages, but people returned to the old, bloody ways of war. Humanity is in shambles now. Those I'd call family and friends now live with me in a giant, mostly self-sufficient city-state of survivors. A huge wall around the perimeter guarded by militia prevents any outside interference. It's the only way we can retain a modicum of order. Gangs of raiders and looters run rampant on the outside. They wouldn't hesitate to kill first and ask questions later if they had known about my PDA. Our contained community has flourished for years now. We have homes to live in, crops to grow, and livestock to raise, and still have our own automated hospital that runs on salvage generators. Lately, though, supplies have started to run low, and dangerously so. Well, this explains why humanity just can't use renewable energy. Because it's all fucked. And they probably killed all the engineers, or all the engineers stopped playing engineer because they were sick of being sapped and they started playing soldier. The power we have is running out. Illnesses are spreading through the city, and treatment isn't available as it used to be. Our population is dropping by the day. We took a great risk to increase the radius of our scouting missions, desperate to find something outside the wall that could help us. Actually, it kind of reminds me of the, this is going to be a plug for one of my favourite authors. Fuck, I can't remember what his name is, but the series is called Rotten Ruin, and it's about a kid and a handful of his, like, 3 friends who live in, it starts off living in a shanty town, quite like, I suppose, one of the ones you see in Walking Dead, but it's actually very interesting. Well, I don't mean to say that Walking Dead isn't interesting, but it's good. So, Rotten Ruin, I'll see if I can remember what his name is. I might put a link to his story in the description. I highly recommend it. It's a good read. You already know the rest of this story. We found the portal, and you. And now you know why this whole thing is so important to me. All our hopes lie in acquiring the generators you promised us. The act of sending Razor and me here has, without a doubt, already cost the lives of some people back home. Beyond the city walls is a dead zone. We hadn't heard from any other settlements for months now. The state of the rest of the world is unknown. When Razor and I were sent here, my peers made it clear that this was our last chance. If anything happens to us, no more people will be sent. If we can't manage to bring back something that will help, we'll have sealed the fate of tens of thousands that live in our city. Oh, right, that explains the fortune-telling, the fireball, and the struggling, and the growing up. Right. Right.
I'm sorry, Molly. I didn't know.
Did it just... Oh, thank fuck, I thought it froze again. Because last time I was recording it froze at about this spot.
If what you're telling me is true, it unfortunately does not work in your favour. As sad as your situation may be, it gives Razor a motive. Desperate times call for desperate measures, after all. In that vein, it also gives you a motive. Considering the gravity of the human plight, it gives you all the more reason to collaborate with him.
I'm not. What Razor did is wrong. You can't send me away under these circumstances because I'm your best bet at finding him.
Even so, you would still be in grave danger after we announce Razor's involvement in the murders. I cannot and will not take responsibility for the consequences when I know of the risks.
What about our deal then?
In the wake of this new information and as a sign of goodwill, we will send the generators you are owed through the portal once this is over, under 2 conditions. Humanity must condemn Razor's actions, and we must reclaim the stolen PDAs.
I've changed my mind. You should let Molly stay here.
I cannot take your word under consideration in this matter, Chief. Taking into account Maverick's actions and your responsibility for them, you will have to be dealt with separately. With my authority as the minister in charge of the human visit, my decision is to have Molly sent back to the human world through the portal.
And sorry, my voice is kind of getting creaky because this is like the 3rd or 4th attempt I've had at recording this today, and Bryce's voice is just, whew, please.
Immediately.
Chief,
please arrange for an escort to take Molly to the portal now.
I could do it myself, Minister.
Well, we have our own matters to discuss, Chief, and I would rather get that over with as quickly as possible.
In that case, one of my officers should be here at any moment. I arranged for him to meet us here.
How handy! Then let us wait for this officer of yours.
It didn't take long for Sebastian to arrive. After the situation was explained, he was visibly shocked, but didn't protest when he was given the task of sending me back to the portal.
Let's go, Molly.
Don't I even get to say goodbye?
Let us not waste any more time. You will still be free to send letters after you've arrived on the other side.
Just go, Molly. Come on, then.
Ah, shit. We were silent as Sebastian and I slowly made our way to the portal. With each step I took, I drew closer and closer to the hopelessness waiting for me in the realms of the human world. All in all, I certainly had a unique experience alongside these dragons, and although this place was filled with just as much drama and murder as back home, I'd remember this world and all the people I met. I would fondly think back to the days I spent in their comfortable standard of living, a shadow of how humanity used to be. Even without the generators, at the very least, I'd be returning home with a few life lessons. What's going on here? Lost in thought, I hadn't even noticed the Dean approach.
It's none of your concern. Please leave.
Can't I even get a few minutes before I go?
I suppose nobody's stopping us, but make it quick.
Hey, Molly, what's going on here? Something serious happened. Looks like I have to leave. Right now? Why? It was the minister's decision, not mine. You'll hear all about it soon enough. Does this have anything to do with what I've been hearing? Is Razor really a murderer? I'm afraid so. Oh. Well, what does that make you? I don't have anything to do with that. I was helping the police find him. Then why are you leaving? They don't want me to stay here with all of this going on. It's for my own safety. Well, it was nice to get to know you at least. Likewise. I guess I should get going. Goodbye, Molly. Goodbye, Dean.
I remember her. That was the witness from Razor's first murder. Did you know her?
Yeah, I did.
I see.
I really hope something happens to the portal, maybe? Oh. This can't be the end of the game. Did I make a bad decision or something? Did I do something wrong? A few minutes later, we arrived at the portal, standing proud as ever in defiance of the elements. How many years had the structure survived before it was found?
I hope I can remember how this thing works.
Are you joking?
Yeah, sorry, I got it.
Alright, I suppose it's time for us to say goodbye.
Let's keep it professional. I don't like to mix personal matters with work.
He looked away, and I shrugged. Go ahead and turn it on then.
Would you stand between the pillars, please?
Of course. I took my place and stared towards the horizon while I thought about what would happen now, in this world and others. Even if I made a break for it, I'd become a fugitive, no better than Razor. It would be near impossible to investigate the case by myself, while on the run, in a world I knew so little about. At the very least, I took comfort in the fact that I did everything I could, even if it turned out like this. Nevertheless, I dreaded going back empty-handed and returning to my old life in our ruined city. Any second now, the teleportation process would start, disintegrating my body before I would reappear on the other side, back in my dying world. I wondered if there was a risk of getting lost somewhere between worlds. We didn't really know how the portals worked after all. Maybe I'd be flung somewhere else in space-time, or it might affect my body in some way. I hadn't noticed any unusual changes in my body since I arrived in the Dragon's world, but I had no way of knowing if there were potential long-term side effects. I still remembered the images I saw when I teleported the first time, the vivid sights and patterns, people and situations I've recognized since then. It only took a moment to arrive at the other side of the portal, yet it felt like I'd dreamt 1,000 dreams. And during the nights I spent here, those dreams had often reappeared. Any time now, I'd undergo the same experience again. I was almost relieved that my adventure was over. Things had turned out far differently than expected. I evaded danger, got swept into a murder investigation, and met incredible, intelligent beings from several different species. It had certainly been a time to remember. With that thought, I closed my eyes and braced myself for the moment that would come any second now. But that moment never came. The next thing that did happen was that I heard Sebastian's voice.
It's not working.
Are you joking again?
No, really, it's not working. Wait, what is this?
Oh my god. Maverick, you cunt! Oh! At the end of the last episode, the new chapter title came up, and Maverick was standing at the portal. Well, at least I'm assuming it's Maverick. It was Maverick, Razor, or the other one.
It's broken!
Can you fix it?
I don't think so. This doesn't look like a simple act of vandalism. It looks like some parts were torn out.
I guess that means I'm not leaving, huh?
Not yet, at least.
Well, what do we do now?
Let's head back. The chief has to know about this right away.
Yes! We were back at the ministry before long. Emera and Bryce were still outside as Remy approached the two of them.
Here are the case files, Emera. Why, thank you. Molly and an officer. What is this about, Emera? That is what I would like to know. Please, officer, enlighten me. Why has my order not been carried out?
The portal is broken. It's broken? Yeah, it looks like someone tampered with it and stole parts. I couldn't even get the interface to turn on. I'll check it out once I'm done here.
I suppose Molly will stay with us for a little longer after all. Seeing how this is an emergency situation, I will make this short. Chief, as a result of your carelessness regarding Maverick and Razor, you are temporarily removed from any duties related to the humans.
So, does that mean I can take him to bed without any conflict of interest?
Given these dangerous times, you'll instead serve as my personal escort until further notice. Considering the circumstances, you'll be allowed to coordinate the investigation of the portal, but after that you are to immediately return to me to start your new task. Understood?
Understood.
Then all of you are dismissed.
She turned to leave, Remy trailing after her.
Alright, let's head to the portal. That includes you, Molly.
Of course. Out of the corner of my eye, I spotted a sheet of paper on the ground. Hey, what's this?
Amira probably dropped one of the case files. Either her or her assistant. You better bring that to her. Sebastian and I should hurry to the portal. Meet us there afterwards, okay?
Sure. I picked up the sheet and started reading. It was about what happened when I met Razor at the portal. Of course, it didn't say anything I already didn't know. As I walked up the stairs, I wondered if it was okay for an unauthorized person to enter the building. All I knew about the place was that Amira worked there. I did have an important document that was going to be missed, so I walked inside, only to be greeted by an empty lobby. Lucky, there were some signs directing me to Amira's office. Interesting. This kind of looks like the facility. It didn't take long to find it, and I heard voices when I approached the door.
By the way, what happened to the scroll you brought me this morning? The last time I saw it, it did not have that tear.
I dropped it.
Tell me something new for once.
Okay, someone else dropped it.
Am I supposed to believe that? Remy, are you aware of how much this costs? Repairing and replacing artifacts is not cheap. I'm afraid we'll have to deduct this from their wage again.
I see.
You are not doing this on purpose, are you?
Of course not.
You have been working for me for a long time now. I expected you to learn at some point, but you are very resistant to do so.
Not wanting to listen to this any longer, I decided to knock. There were a few seconds of silence.
Please, come in.
I only opened the door long enough to hand Remy the sheet of paper. I think you dropped this outside. After I closed the door and started to walk away, I heard the voices resume.
This is from one of the case files.
This is from... Fuck, that's right. If I go to David Attenborough, it ends up as a Bobby, which ends up as a Sebastian, and Remy is... This is from one of the case files you requested. You must have dropped it.
Then why was it left outside? As my assistant, you should have paid more attention. If this got into the wrong hands, someone could get in trouble.
I made my way back to the portal and arrived shortly after Bryce and Sebastian.
Well, I can confirm that it's not turning on. I told you that already. I just wanted to be sure. You really think it would still work with a chunk ripped out of it? Hey, I'm not an engineer. We don't know how the portal works. It was worth another try. There you are, Molly. What do you make of this?
I'm afraid I don't know any more than you do. I'm not an engineer either. As I said, all the engineers became soldiers.
In that case, we should start thinking about the who and when. There are patrols assigned to the portal and surrounding area day and night. If someone tampered with the portal, they must have seen something. Today's day patrol didn't notice anything unusual, though. I guess she must have missed the part about the portal being vandalized. It'd be easy to overlook. It's such a small part of the machine, and it's not like she was expected to check every square inch of it with each lap around the area. What about the night patrol, then? When I went over the reports this morning, I noticed the night patrol hadn't handed theirs in yet. And who was patrolling last night? Let me think for a minute. The schedule always goes in a certain order, so last night it would have been... Damn. What is it? The night patrol for last night would have been Maverick. I got wrapped up in all the recent chaos and forgot to find a replacement for him when he went on sick leave. Maybe Amira was right to take me off this case. So there was no night guard here at all? That's right. Whoever it was had an easy time doing whatever they wanted.
Could it have been Maverick? If he knew no one was going to be here, he could have used that knowledge to his advantage.
He couldn't have known that I'd forget to find a replacement, though. I don't usually slip up like this. What about what about Reza?
Why would he have done it? He'd be cutting off his only way out.
No, he'd be doing something smart. If he has the power needed to get to the portal working again, he's in control of who gets to use it. He's cutting off our ability to communicate with mankind. We wouldn't be able to inform them of Reza's actions. Maybe we shouldn't have kept the investigation secret for this long.
If your theory is true, that would be proof of Reza's actions are his own, not humanity's.
Hey, I already trust you on that. Or it's a stunt to grab humanity plausible deniability. No way, things are too dire for the humans to take such an extraordinary risk, especially for that. I'm sure that wouldn't be the only reason they benefit, though. There must be something we're not aware of. Maybe we're looking at this from the wrong angle. If no one was here to guard the portal, anyone could have broken it. It doesn't necessarily have to have anything to do with Reza or Maverick. But they still have the greatest motives. Sure, but they aren't the only ones to have one. There could be private groups who are interested in the technology or its significance as a human artifact. So that puts us exactly nowhere. At least as far as speculation is concerned, it's about time for forensics to show up anyway. Let's hope they can pull some clues from all this. Sebastian, can you take it from here? You've been just as dedicated to the case as I have. Since I'll have to be at the minister's side for a while, I'd like you to take charge of the investigation for now. Thanks, Chief. I won't let you down.
What's up with that anyway? Being appointed as mayor's bodyguard as punishments just seems strange to me.
Are you kidding? I could have lost my job. This is a way better outcome. Honestly, she probably did it for her own sake more than anything else, but I'm not complaining. If that's all, I'm gonna head back to the ministry. I shouldn't keep her waiting.
So, what does that make you now? Temporary chief?
More like case leader. By the way, you won't need to stick around while forensics does their job. Thanks for your help. I assume you can find your way back to your apartment?
Yeah, of course.
Alright, I'll see you later then.
See ya. Interesting. Developers. Anyway, that is some very interesting shit there. And as much as I do trust Aideen, like, isn't it convenient that she was just there when I was leaving? Was she potentially on the way back from the portal? Anyway, that was a fucking roller coaster, and I'm super fucking stoked to get into more of this. So, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time, and I will see you later.